To Live, a song of survival amid suffering. With over 10 million copies sold, its film adaptation won the 20th Century Best Film Award at the Tokyo International Film Festival and many others. Why does Yu Hua's To Live transcend time and borders to become an enduring classic of Chinese literature? How does it use one man's tragedy to tell the story of an entire nation's suffering and resilience? Let's step into To Live, follow Fugui's journey, and explore the flicker of hope and strength in life's darkest moments, reflecting on the meaning of living through tears. The author's intent, from absurdity to compassion. To understand To Live, we must first know its author, Yu Hua. Born in 1960 in Zhejiang, Yu Hua grew up during China's turbulent social changes, witnessing the Cultural Revolution and the dawn of reform. His father, a doctor, exposed him to life and death in his childhood, spent playing near hospitals, shaping his profound insights into human nature. Early works like Leaving Home at 18 brimmed with avant-garde absurdity, but To Live marked his shift from a detached observer to a compassionate storyteller. Written in 1992 during China's economic boom, To Live merged as cities soared while rural areas bore the weight of history. Yu Hua once shared in an interview that he wanted to tell an ordinary person's story, capturing lives crushed by history yet stubbornly enduring. Inspired by the American folk song Old Black Joe, which tells of a slave persevering despite loss, Yu Hua infused this spirit into To Live. Through Fugui, he crafted a Chinese farmer's grueling journey through war, famine, and change. The novel's unique structure blends first-person reflection with third-person narration. Yu Hua opens with an unnamed narrator listening to Fugui recount his life, creating an intimate, oral history-like connection with readers. As Yu Hua said, "I didn't want to write about heroes, but about forgotten ordinary people." This intent makes To Live both deeply personal and universally resonant. The backdrop is China's early 1990s shift from a planned to a market economy, widening wealth gaps and shaking societal values. Through Fugui, Yu Hua reflects on history's toll on individuals and their choices in despair. To Live is more than a novel, it's a mirror reflecting China's modern scars and hopes. Yu Hua's work also draws from Chinese tradition, particularly Dream of the Red Chamber, with its portrayal of a family's rise and fall. While less intricate, To Live echoes this through Fugui's family, a microcosm of China's upheavals, steeped in fateful tragedy. Its cultural depth makes To Live a global allegory, resonating beyond China. Fugui's fate, a microcosm of suffering. At the heart of To Live is Fugui, a man who falls from a landlord's son to a destitute farmer. His story spans half a century, from the 1940s anti-Japanese war to the 1970s reform era, weaving through China's historical milestones. Fugui's fate is both a personal tragedy and a reflection of a nation's suffering. Youth, from profligacy to ruin. In his youth, Fugui is reckless, squandering his family's wealth on gambling and indulgence, ignoring his wife Jiazhen's pleas. Yu Hua vividly depicts Fugui's downfall. He loses his estate in a single night at the casino, driving his father to death from grief. This collapse mirrors the decline of China's landlord class in the 1940s, foreshadowing land reforms. Yet this loss sparks Fugui's transformation, forcing him to shoulder his family's burdens. Jiazhen's unwavering support becomes his lifeline. Yu Hua writes, Fugui crouched in the fields, feeling like a blade of grass bent by the wind, but standing tall when it passes. This metaphor captures Fugui's fragility and resilience. Fugui's youth reveals human complexity. He's no villain, but a flawed man shaped by environment and desire. His guilt toward Jiazhen and regret for his father preserve his humanity amid ruin. Yu Hua crafts a layered character. Fugui's failures stem from both personal choices and historical forces. Middle age, trials of war and famine. Fugui's middle years are the peak of his suffering. Drafted by the Nationalist Army during the anti-Japanese War, he narrowly escapes death. Returning home, land reforms strip him of his status, turning him into a farmer, yet hardship persists. The 1950s Great Leap Forward and commune movements trigger a devastating famine. Fugui's son Yuqing dies from excessive blood donation, and his daughter Fengxia succumbs to childbirth complications, crushing Fugui. Yu Hua shows history's merciless grind through these tragedies. Yuqing's death is particularly harrowing. A kind boy dies saving a county official's wife. Yu Hua writes, Yuqing's blood drained away, and he collapsed like a wilted seedling. This restrained prose amplifies the tragedy's sting. Fugui's middle age is steeped in absurdity. During the Cultural Revolution, his son-in-law Erxi dies in a workplace accident, and his grandson Kugan chokes on beans from hunger. These seemingly random deaths tie directly to the era's chaos. Yu Hua writes, when Jiazhen died, Fugui held her hand, feeling like he was grasping a dry twig. This moment encapsulates the shared grief of countless families in turbulent times. Old age, solitude and perseverance. Fugui's later years are the novel's most poignant and heavy. Alone after losing his family, he lives with an old ox, tilling barren land. Yu Hua paints this scene poetically. Fugui and his ox walk the fields, their shadows stretched long by the sunset, like ropes tied together. The ox is more than a companion, it symbolizes Fugui's will to live. His persistence isn't heroic, but a quiet stubbornness. Yu Hua notes, Fugui's living isn't to prove anything, it's just what he does. This simple resolve resonates deeply with readers. Though lonely, Fugui's old age carries a sacred calm, as if he's made peace with fate. History's Shadow, a portrait of China's struggles. To Live is more than one man's tale, it's a collective portrait of 20th century Chinese farmers. Land reform, a class reversal. In the late 1940s, land reforms swept rural China, redistributing land to roughly 400 million farmers from 1949 to 1952, dismantling the landlord class. Fugui's fall from landlord to peasant reflects this upheaval, his ruin both personal and historical. His poverty ironically shields him from later purges. Through Longer, who buys Fugui's land only to be executed as a new landlord, Yu Hua shows history's unpredictability. Yu Hua writes, Longer stood in the field, shouting he was good, but the gunshot came and he fell like a bundle of straw. Land reforms also reshaped social bonds. Fugui, once aloof, becomes an equal among villagers, forming a genuine bond with the former laborer Chunsheng. The Great Famine, Survival's Edge. The 1958–1961 Great Famine, one of China's darkest chapters, claimed millions of lives. Yu Hua captures its despair through Yuqing and Fengxia's deaths, as Fugui's family survives on wild greens and bark. Jiazhen's simple words, as long as we're alive, nothing else matters, cut through the horror with resilience. The Henan Xinyang incident of 1959, where millions starved due to exaggerated production reports, echoes Fugui's family's plight. Neighbor Zhu Fuxing, who starves to save food for his children, mirrors Fugui's sacrifices, highlighting ordinary people's choices in extremis. The Cultural Revolution, absurd turmoil. From 1966 to 1976, the Cultural Revolution plunged China into chaos. Erxi's death in a factory accident and Kujan's from eating beans reflect the era's dangers and scarcity. Yu Hua writes, Kugan smiled, saying the beans were tasty, not knowing they'd take his life. Fugui's silence during this period isn't cowardice, but survival. When Chunsheng, now a disgraced official, seeks help, Fugui urges him to keep living, showing compassion forged in hardship. Literary craft, compassion and restraint. The literary power of To Live lies in both its depth and Yu Hua's masterful storytelling. Restrained narration, less is more. Yu Hua's prose is plain yet piercing, avoiding melodrama for vivid details. When Fengxia dies, Fugui digs her grave in silence. He dug all night, piling earth like a small hill, sitting exhausted, gasping like a bellows. This minimalism magnifies the grief. Unlike Mo Yan's vivid red sorghum, Yu Hua's restraint suits To Live, letting readers feel pain through calm narration. His neutrality, never directly criticizing policies, earns the novel universal acclaim. Symbolism, the ox and the land. The ox is a vivid symbol, not just Fugui's companion but a mirror of his tenacity. Yu Hua writes, "The ox is named Fugui, and Fugui is named Fugui, they live together." The land, too, is symbolic Fugui's burden and hope, tying him to China's farming soul. Yu Hua notes, Fugui stood on the ridge, feeling his family was still there, hidden in the soil. These symbols elevate to live into a universal tale of human endurance. Structural tension, memory and reality. The novel weaves Fugui's recollections with the present, using time jumps to underscore life's unpredictability. His calm retelling of Yuking's death belies his inner pain, deepening the emotional impact. The unnamed narrator, a listener like the reader, adds intimacy and philosophical distance, framing Fugui's story as both history and reflection. The meaning of living, philosophy and insight. To live asks, why do we live? Yu Hua offers no answers, but Fugui's story prompts reflection on existence. Resilience in suffering. Fugui's dogged persistence, despite losing all, is his answer to suffering. Yu Hua said, living itself is the meaning. Fugui's survival is his response to pain. This resonates universally, like Wuen's Hang Qilan, a community worker who, after losing her husband to COVID in 2020, kept serving others, saying, living means doing something for those who are gone. The redemption of family. Fugui's drive to live stems from family Jiazhen's loyalty, Yuking's innocence, Fengxia's kindness. Jiazhen's dying words, live well, don't let my love go to waste, anchor his resolve. This mirrors Yu Hua's Zhu Sangguan sells blood, but to live pushes family's redemptive power to its limits. Life's impermanence. Fugui's tragedies, Yuking's blood loss, Fengxia's childbirth, Qujin's accident highlight life's randomness. Yu Hua writes, Fugui learned not to ask why, but what to do. This acceptance echoes Buddhist notions of impermanence, offering a timeless lesson in letting go. Modern resonance. How we live. Though set in 20th century China, to live speaks to 2025's anxieties, economic shifts, climate crises, and technological change. Courage in adversity. Fugui teaches that setbacks are universal, and survival is victory. Japanese entrepreneur Kazuo Inamori, who saved Japan Airlines in 2008, echoed this, if you don't give up, any crisis can pass. Like Fugui, Inamori's care for his workers mirrors Fugui's devotion to family. Cherishing the present. Fugui's simple joy in his final years singing with his ox shows happiness lies in the moment. Shanghai single mother Zhu Manlin, who found solace in crafting and teaching her daughter during 2022's lockdown, reflects this, a smile with my daughter is enough. Human complexity. Fugui's flaws, youthful recklessness, moments of weakness make him relatable. Yu Hua shows that living means embracing imperfection, aligning with psychologist Carl Rogers' 2023 idea, accepting flaws is the start of happiness. Cultural legacy, the power of living. To live reinterprets Chinese cultural values for modern times. The farmer's roots. Fugui's bond with the land reflects China's agrarian spirit. Yu Hua writes, Fugui stood in the field, feeling the land breathe like a living thing. This echoes 2022's rural revitalization, like Shandong farmer Wang Gilin, who uplifted her village through organic farming. Family ties. Fugui's family embodies China's emphasis on kinship, a theme scholar Li Zihu called family ethics in 2023. Jiazhen, Yuking, and Fengxia's sacrifices show family as a pillar in crisis. The aesthetics of suffering. Fugui's tragedy carries a poetic resilience, akin to traditional Chinese sorrow without despair. Yu Hua writes, Fugui sang, his voice hoarse like wind through bare trees. This mirrors Shen Kongwen's border town, where endurance shines through loss. Key quotes. Wisdom of living. Here are 7 quotes distilling to live's essence. Living itself is meaning, no need to prove it to anyone. Suffering is like the wind, it passes, leaving only the person. Family is the light in the dark, guiding you forward. Impermanence is life's norm, accept it for peace. The land is your root, stay grounded to live. You don't need to be a hero, just live like a human. Life is a road, every step forward is a triumph. The flicker of life. Reading to live feels like walking Fugui's path. From a reckless young landlord to a solitary farmer, his journey shows life's weight and worth. Yu Hua's simple prose paints a vivid portrait of Chinese farmers, illuminating the meaning of existence. In 2025, we may not face Fugui's hardships, but life's challenges, work, family, dreams test us all. To live reminds us there's no single answer, but perseverance brings hope. It's not just a story of one man's tragedy, but a guide to facing our own lives. Whether you're a student, professional, or dreamer, this book is a must-read. It finds strength in tears and hope in suffering. Pick up To Live, step into Fugui's world, and discover your own song of survival.